What if McLaren just opened a Pandora's box that could cost them the World Championship? At Monza, Oscar Piastri was leading his teammate Lando Norris thanks to a rare pit stop blunder. Yet instead of letting racing luck decide, McLaren stepped in, ordering Piastri to give the place back. That one radio call instantly turned into one of the most controversial Papaya Rules moments we've ever seen. Piastri, the current title leader, lost 3 points he desperately needed to keep Lando Norris at bay in the fight for the championship. And while he obeyed with class, saying, "If you really want me to do it, I'll do it," the seed of doubt has been planted. Why? Because McLaren didn't just lose time in the pit lane. They may have lost control of their own championship narrative. This wasn't a case of pace, tires, or different strategies. This was the team trying to rewrite the race in real time, believing it was fair. But in Formula One, fairness is never simple. And now, with Baku on the horizon, McLaren stands on the brink of securing the Constructors' crown weeks before Abu Dhabi. But the burning question is, will Papaya Rules carry them to glory, or tear them apart from the inside? It all started on lap 46 in Monza. Piastri had just nailed a perfect 1.9-second stop, jumping into clean air. Norris, running second at the time, boxed 1 lap later, but disaster struck. A stuck front left cost him 4 extra seconds, and suddenly Piastri was ahead. Now, under normal racing logic, that's it. You take the win, you take the pain. But McLaren hit pause on reality. After a long debate on the pit wall, they told Piastri to hand the place back. His frustrated reply said it all. "Didn't we agree slow pit stops are part of racing?" Fans couldn't help but remember Hungary 2024, when Norris had accidentally been promoted into the lead before being ordered to give it back, handing Piastri his maiden F1 win. Back then, McLaren's sense of justice seemed noble. This time, though, it cut the legs out from their own championship leader. And the irony? Verstappen, who cruised to the win, was laughing over the radio. To him, mistakes like this are all part of racing. But for McLaren, their pursuit of fairness might have just rewritten the rules of how a title is decided. Andrea Stella calls it the values of McLaren. After Monza, he stood firm. "We simply restored the order we had before the pit stops. That's the fair way to race." To him, this wasn't about favoring Norris or punishing Piastri. It was about protecting the team's integrity. McLaren has been down this road before. In 2007, Alonso's camp famously handed out envelopes of cash to mechanics in a desperate bid to sway loyalty away from Hamilton, a scandal that forced the team to impose strict internal equality. And in 2016, Mercedes even swapped Hamilton and Rosberg's mechanics to kill garage divisions. History proves one truth: when teammates fight, teams fracture. So Stella's Papaya Principles are designed to prevent exactly that. Mechanics, engineers, and drivers tearing each other apart in pursuit of glory. By undoing Monza's pit lane chaos, he kept both garages aligned, sending a message: the team comes before the driver. But here's the problem. Every time McLaren steps in to correct fairness, they create a precedent. If one pit stop error is undone, what about a bad strategy call or a penalty the team disagrees with? Where does Papaya justice end and real racing begin? Here's the danger. Once you open the door to fixing mistakes, where do you stop? At Imola, Piastri lost second place to Norris after being put on the wrong strategy. Should McLaren have swapped them back then? In Hungary, Piastri was put on a slower 2-stop plan while Norris won on a 1-stop. Should that have been reversed too? Fans are already asking the brutal question: is McLaren trying to run a championship or a classroom? Because Formula One has always thrived on the chaos of fortune: pit stops, safety cars, weather, penalties. If you strip that away in the name of fairness, you risk sterilizing the very thing that makes racing thrilling. And imagine the nightmare scenario. What if this happens again at the final race in Abu Dhabi, with the title on the line? Would McLaren really ask Piastri to surrender the crown to Norris just because of a pit stop delay? Stella insists these are one-off calls, guided by principles. But every principle sets a precedent, and with two drivers so evenly matched, McLaren has built a trap for itself. The team's biggest strength, unity, might also be its greatest weakness. And now, all eyes turn to Baku. McLaren arrives in Azerbaijan with 617 points, a staggering 337 clear of Ferrari, 357 ahead of Mercedes, and 378 in front of Red Bull. With 8 races and 3 sprints left, the math is simple. McLaren could lock up the Constructors' crown this weekend. If Norris and Piastri deliver a 1-2 in Baku, it's game over. The Papaya Army celebrates back-to-back championships weeks before the season finale. Even if Ferrari wins, McLaren only needs to outscore them by 9 points to seal the deal. Mercedes would need a miracle, and Red Bull's chances are basically a fantasy at this stage. On paper, this is domination, a once-in-a-generation campaign where McLaren might even smash Red Bull's 2023 record points haul. But here's where the tension bites. Can Papaya Rules survive the pressure of history? Because if Monza proved anything, it's that McLaren isn't just fighting other teams anymore. They're fighting themselves. If Stella dares to interfere again in Baku, it could spark open war between Norris and Piastri. And if he doesn't, one unlucky pit stop could crown a champion, not by speed, but by circumstance. Inside McLaren, the rivalry has never been louder, even in silence. Norris insists he earned the right to second place at Monza, reminding everyone that he was ahead until the pit stop drama. For him, Papaya Rules restored justice. Piastri, meanwhile, played the diplomat, outwardly calm, but you could hear the sting in his radio reply. Didn't we say slow stops are part of racing? That one sentence said everything. Piastri knows those 3 points could be the difference between lifting the trophy or finishing runner-up. Norris knows that too. And with both drivers so evenly matched, every team order feels like a loaded weapon. Sky Sports and Autosports pundits have already called this a civil war at McLaren. Fans call Piastri the silent assassin, while Norris is the face of the Papaya project. Both are loved, both are feared, and both are desperate to prove they're the one to carry McLaren into its golden era. The irony: this tension comes at the very moment McLaren is about to win the Constructors' title. Imagine clinching the crown in Baku, yet facing the prospect of your 2-star drivers refusing to yield an inch. Could Papaya unity survive Papaya victory? Winning the Constructors' Championship in Baku would be historic, but it also creates a dangerous paradox. Once the team prize is locked, all that remains is the driver's crown, and that's where things get ugly. Because let's be real, McLaren won't care who takes the title as long as it's painted papaya. But for Norris and Piastri, this is legacy-defining. Norris is chasing the dream of becoming Britain's next world champion, following in Hamilton's footsteps. Piastri is Australia's great hope, carrying the weight of Jack Brabham, Alan Jones, Mark Webber, and Daniel Ricciardo before him. So what happens when the team first mask comes off? With the constructors secure, will McLaren dare to keep enforcing Papaya Rules? Or will they finally let Norris and Piastri fight bare-knuckle to the flag? The danger is clear. The earlier McLaren seals glory, the sooner the spotlight turns inward. And if Baku becomes a coronation, every lap that follows could transform into open warfare between the silent assassin and McLando. So here we are. McLaren stands on the edge of history, just one race away from securing back-to-back constructors' titles. Yet at the same time, they're balancing on a knife's edge between unity and implosion. If Norris and Piastri bring home a 1-2 in Baku, Papaya Rules will look like genius, proof that fairness and discipline can deliver domination. But if another team correction robs one of them of crucial points, the outcry could dwarf anything we've seen since Rosberg versus Hamilton at Mercedes. And that's the paradox. McLaren's greatest strength is also its greatest risk. They've built the fastest car, the smartest strategy group, and the most balanced driver pairing in Formula One today. But can they survive their own principles when the title is on the line? Now the question passes to you. Should McLaren keep enforcing Papaya Rules for the sake of harmony, or should they unleash their drivers and let the championship be decided wheel to wheel? Because one thing is certain, when the lights go out in Baku, this story is only just beginning.